Sunday, everybody. I am so glad that you could join me today. We're going to have some fun today making honey mustard sauce. You know, it really is hard to find something that you can't find a way to keto. Now, this is not going to taste exactly like honey mustard sauce, but it's going to be a pretty close second, and it's going to be almost carb-free. So, let's see if we can't... There we go, get this camera adjusted. There we go. All right, so the first thing we need is for you to be able to see the counter. So let's do that. Okay, there we go. And you can see I have got a ginormous, I'm getting into the Canada Day mood already, cup of coffee with sugar-free Da Vinci hazelnut. I really have never cared for anything. I love hazelnuts. I've never cared for anything hazelnut flavored. So, now, there are two ways that we can make this honey, well, three, I guess. You could use Greek yogurt if you could find some that wasn't full of cornstarch, but good luck with that. So you could use Gailey Gold sour cream. And if you use Gailey Gold, 60 milliliters or 60 grams of Gailey Gold sour cream, you are going to have 4 grams of carbohydrates and 10 grams of fat. Now, all by itself, that is not a good proportion. 75% fat, 5% carbs or less. So just going into the meal, we're doing something that is going to have proportions that are off that we need to adjust. So what can we do about that? Well, we can use 60 milliliters of whipping cream. Now, Lactancia whipping cream, and I don't believe everything I read, but Lactancia, this is the whipping cream that I have. It's 35% milk fat. I'd be happier with 38, but, you know, 35 isn't too bad. And it says that in 15 milliliters, there are 5 grams of fat, so 20 grams of fat in what we're doing, and 0 grams of carbs. So, do we want to go with that? So definitely less than 1 gram of carbs in, good morning, Mom. Definitely less than 1 gram of carbs in 60 milliliters of cream. Now, one of the things that I have in my kitchen all the time, is citric acid. Citric acid can be used in a bazillion different ways. So, should we use the Gailey Gold Sour Cream, which is one of 2 brands that I recommend, and I don't recommend any others. It does have some carbs in it. Or should we use the Lactancia sour cream that has 0 carbs? And I'm going to vote for the 0 carbs. And to that 60 milliliters of whipping cream, I added a pinch, so 1/16 of a teaspoon, and I have these adorable little itty-bitty teaspoons, and I added 1/16 of a teaspoon or a pinch of citric acid to this, and then let it sit for 10 minutes. And just like watching paint dry, I didn't think you guys would have a whole lot of fun watching the cream go sour. So when you taste this compared to this, what's the difference in flavor? Not a lot. What's the difference in texture? Now this is very, very thick, and you can see if you spill it, it comes out in a lump. Okay, well, we'll just set that there for now. This is much runnier. Now, if we were to use the sour cream, we're going to add some acid to it that's going to end up at the end making it a little bit runnier. So, in this experiment, the citric acid is the acid that we're adding to it. If you don't have citric acid, you can add a teaspoon of white vinegar or lemon juice or lime juice. I like the lemon juice or lime juice better for the flavor, but I like citric acid even better than that. Now you can see that this is way thicker than whipping cream is, but not as thick as the Gailey Gold sour cream. And the reason for that is I made this with citric acid. When you're buying Gailey Gold or Bleswold sour cream, they're using a sour cream starter. It's an enzyme that is designed to work with the fat and the proteins in the milk or the cream. Now, part of the reason why this has got fewer carbs in it or no carbs in it is because this is the whipping cream. Sour cream is made with a combination of both milk and cream. Okay, so we are going to add 60 milliliters of whipping cream. Now, you don't need to make this honey mustard. You can make it whatever flavor you like, but it's going to be yummy. Okay, get all of this yumminess out of here. So 60 milliliters of sour cream with 1/16 of a teaspoon or a pinch of, that thing I said, citric acid. And then to that, we are going to add 7 milliliters of mustard. Now, if you want to use Dijon mustard, you absolutely can do that. My preference is yellow mustard, just because that's what I grew up on. So I love the fact that French's makes an organic yellow mustard. So that's awesome. So if you're wanting to know exactly what mustard I'm using in here, now you know. And you can see when I'm stirring this up that it's not quite as thick as that, but we're also not going to be adding this teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. So if you're using sour cream, you would put in the apple cider vinegar. Now, I have 1 teaspoon of allulose. You can use xylitol, but I want to talk to you about erythritol, because that seems like it would be, if you have powdered erythritol, that would be an awesome go-to, and you can try it. There is not a reason in the world why you can't try it, but I will tell you this. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I did an experiment with 7-minute frosting, and I came back and said it was an epic fail. And one of the big reasons that it was an epic fail was because I used erythritol. And if you have something with a fairly light flavor and you add erythritol to it, it has a cooling effect in your mouth. And I don't know how to say it other than that. It's kind of like a menthol, not that strong, but that cooling effect in a 7-minute frosting was awful. I cannot imagine it really being better in this. But if you are going to try erythritol, make sure that it's powdered. If you're going to try xylitol, take your teaspoon of xylitol and put a few drops of hot water in it and just melt that xylitol so that you don't have something grainy in here. Now, the allulose that I have is powdered. And so it's going to go in here and it's going to mix in beautifully, and I know that because I had it on my chicken fingers and it was marvelous. Okay, so let's scrape. Now this is, how much did I put in here? Just a pinch. We're doing pinches today. 1/16 of a teaspoon of onion powder. And I'm mixing this in with the allulose or whatever sweetener you're going to use. And I'm doing that because if you mix it in with the allulose, you're not going to have it clumping. So get your dry ingredients all mixed together, and that definitely will stop that whole clumping thing. This is a beautiful time of year to be using fresh produce. And I could have used fresh onion and fresh garlic, but I'm making a batch for 2 people. And to have, it wouldn't take anywhere near a whole clove of garlic. It certainly wouldn't be worth grinding up half an onion or a quarter of an onion. So in this particular case, using a powder, an onion powder, and you got to know that both the onion powder and the garlic powder are from TSL Organics. So if you're needing some, let me know. If you don't like onion or you don't like garlic, it makes me feel a little bit sad for you, but if you don't like onion or garlic or both, you don't have to add it. You can do this just with the sour cream and the mustard and the sweetener. So we're going to sprinkle this in here and sprinkle part of it and stir it up. This will help keep it from clumping. And look at how much thicker this is getting. The mustard has a little bit of vinegar in it, so that's helping make our sauce even thicker, so that's a good thing. So what kind of sauce would you want for your chicken fingers, chicken wings, whatever? Because you can add whatever herbs and spices you want to this and make it yours. There are no rules when you're making something for you. Experiment a little bit. I love to experiment in the kitchen. I am not totally convinced that my husband always loves it when I experiment in the kitchen, because he does tend to be my guinea pig. But part of the reason that he's my guinea pig is because I know that I can count on him to give me an honest answer. So there's that. Okay, now this is our honey mustard sauce, and the only thing that it's missing is just a pinch of salt. And you could add some white pepper. This is one of those places where white pepper is a beautiful thing, because you're not going to see it. It's not going to be a bunch of black flecks in your sauce. So now, if you are doing chicken wings in the air fryer or on the barbecue, if you're doing chicken strips, that I really hope you're making at home, because if you're buying breaded chicken strips or chicken wings in the store, they are absolutely not keto. Now the mustard, I don't remember whether I said this, so the mustard that we put in here had 1 gram of carbs. So let's look at what we've done here. We got rid of the sour cream, so that had 4 grams of carbs that we don't have now. So we added whipping cream, 0 carbs, and 20 grams of fat. And the mustard had 1 gram of carbs and 0 fat. Look at those ratios, kids. Look at that. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. So, if you're trying to make some kind of a sauce, if you're trying to make a salad dressing or a dip for vegetables, a little bit of citric acid in your whipping cream will go a long way to give you a carb-free or close to carb-free dip. And what does this dip taste like? Well, let's see if we can't have a little bit of a try. Now, I want to talk to you about something today. I want to talk to you about keto and mental health. There's been a lot of research done on all kinds of things regarding keto, and one of them is mental health. And it's been shown repeatedly that people who eat a high-carb diet very often have a chronic low-grade inflammation in their body that does not stop here. It goes all the way to the top, kids, and that low-grade inflammation, it can cause all kinds of problems with mental health. So, if you know someone who is struggling with mental health, if you know someone who is struggling to function in an acceptable way, in an appropriate way in society, and you know that they need help, look up your mental health hotline and please help them get the help they need. Oftentimes, people who are dealing with mental health issues don't know they have mental health issues. So, be the person who cares enough to help them. And then, talk to them about keto. Oh my. Okay, now I said you can use this on chicken wings or chicken fingers, or you can eat it with a spoon, because that is absolutely delicious. Okay, now I want to talk to you about a study that has recently come out from PubMed. We've still got a few minutes here, so let's have coffee and talk for a few minutes. Recently, there was a study that was published in the Journal of Medicine that said studies show that doing keto long term will cause insulin resistance. So I want to talk about this study a little bit because it was done. That's not a lie. So they looked at a group of, I think it was 112 people, and they divided them into 3 groups of people. Now these were healthy, normal weight adult people that had no previous health conditions. So they did the blood work and they did all of the things. So, kudos to them for that. And none of them had a blood sugar level that was nuts. None of them had high blood pressure. They were healthy, normal weight adults. And so what they did was they had them record their food for 7 days. 7 whole days. Yeah, you don't have to be very old to be able to count that high. But that's all they did. 112 people, very, very tiny group of volunteers, or maybe not volunteers, I don't know that, and for 7 days, so also a very tiny number. And what they did was had them record their food. And so what they found with those 7 people was there were people that they said were eating low carb. Now, I want you to remember that if you're doing keto, okay, if you're doing keto, 5% carbs, that's what we aim for. The low carb group in this study was 45% carbs. So that means for someone that is eating a 2,200 calorie diet every day, almost 1,000 calories of that were carbohydrates. I'm not really clear on how this is the low carb group. So when you see something like that in the news, in a magazine, your friend tells you you've got to look this up because that keto thing that you're doing, it's going to kill you. It's going to make you insulin resistant. You're going to end up with type 2 diabetes. Yeah, not so much. And so what they really focused on was this low carb group. That would be the group who were eating half of their food every day as carbohydrates. They were showing at the end of that 7 days, they could see an increase in some of the C-peptide markers and all of the things. So you see this study, and the big splashy headline is ketogenic diet causes insulin resistance. No, it doesn't, because they didn't test a group of people who are doing the ketogenic diet. They took a group of people and they said, please record a food journal, everything that you eat, everything that you drink. Now, what do you figure the chances are that they remembered every single tiny little thing that they put in their mouth? But what they did remember, the low carb group was at 45% carbs. 45%. That is nuts. Even if that was 45 grams. Let's say it was 45 grams. That is still more than double what any of us on carb or on keto would do. So it's important that you don't just read a headline and then read the little blurb at the bottom that says, yes, keto is going to kill you, it's going to wreck your liver, it's going to wreck your kidneys, it's going to cause kidney stones, it's going to make you insulin resistant, it's going to cause type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And no. Keep reading. And if reading an actual medical study is just way more than you're willing to make your brain do, then check with some people that actually have been doing the work, doing the studies on the ketogenic diet. Now, I will tell you that my personal results have shown that the ketogenic diet will reverse type 2 diabetes. Not just for me, but for others around me. I had a client that went from crazy type 2 diabetic to no longer considered diabetic. No medication, no insulin, no crazy blood work, just a normal, healthy person, because the work was done. And people who had high blood pressure and or have had a heart attack, who no longer, hi Del, no longer are having issues with high blood pressure and are no longer at risk of having a heart attack, as long as they do what they need to do. I mean, you can't just do keto for 30 minutes and then say, that's it, I'm done. I got to the weight that I wanted, my blood pressure's normal, whatever the marker is for you, and then go back to eating the way you used to eat. The reality is, your diet for however many years before you were diagnosed with whatever you were diagnosed with is what caused the problem. Now, if you spent 40 or 50 years of your life eating carbohydrates and it caused an issue for you, whether that was pain in your joints or high blood pressure or type 2 or whatever it was, weight gain, whatever, if you do something natural, like changing your diet by eating keto, and that fixes the problem, why would you think that you can then go back to the diet that created the problem? Because I'll tell you what else is true. When you start eating, and it doesn't matter what addiction or what habit you're talking about, when you change that and you start doing something better for your diet, people with allergies will know this. You can eat something for years that you're allergic to, and your body is so used to you doing that that you don't even realize it's an allergy. And I've heard this from so many people. I went in for allergy testing, and it turns out that I'm allergic to, and there's a list of things. So they stop eating those things because they're allergic. And then they figure, well, I've got this under control, so I'll maybe try it again, or they eat it accidentally, and they have a way worse reaction than they did before they ever went in for the allergy testing. And it's because you can do something silly, and your body is recognizing that you're doing something that is not good, and so it adjusts. And every morning it goes, okay, I wonder if she's going to do it again today. Yep, there she goes, doing it again, and it adjusts. But when you stop doing that thing, and your body recognizes that you stop doing that thing, there's a little happy dance going on inside, and it goes, woohoo, she's not doing it anymore. For a week, for a month, for a year. This is awesome. She promised us with her behavior that she's not going to do this thing anymore. So then you go back and you do that thing, and your body freaks out more than it did before, because now it's cranky. So you do not want a cranky body. It doesn't feel good. So that's my lecture for the day. And I want you to join me next Sunday. I am going to be talking about a very special young lady. And I wasn't quite ready to talk about her today, but you want to join me next week, and I'm going to tell you about a young lady named Megan. You don't want to miss that. And I do believe that next week we are going to be doing butter chicken, keto style. So you don't want to miss that either, because butter chicken is awesome. You don't have to give up ethnic food just because you're doing keto. You do have to figure out how to do it yourself, or, invite me for dinner if you want me to do it for you, but that's a whole nother story. I hope all of you do your very best to live your best version of this shining life. Please click the bells and the whistles and the subscribe and the follow and do all the things to all the stuff so that we can hang out here every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Mountain, and we can talk about keto and whatever else happens to come up that day. So do keto, take care of your body, not just your joints and your heart, but also take care of your mental health. That's important not only to you, but to the people that you love. And I want you to reach out to someone today that you haven't talked to for a while, because it will make their life richer and it will do just as much to yours. Thank you for being here today. You guys make my Sunday so sunny. I will talk to you very soon.